Before the rise of Instagram and other social outlets, digital platform Comedy Hype aspired to fill in a void when it came to hearing from black comedic voices. It was an attempt to spotlight black comedians who were being overlooked by mainstream comedy outlets despite proving their value and skill set. The way Comedy Hype will go about creating the spotlight has been through transparent interviews, news breaks, and their hit show, The Comedy Hype News Show, which is positioned as their ESPN First Take for comedy. For nearly a decade, the Comedy Hype platform has been a showcase for legendary comedians detailing their humble beginnings, the not talked about obstacles in comedy, and some of their iconic careers that was never spotlighted before. From the very beginning, Comedy Hype established itself as a platform for the genre to be discussed and debated, only to drive comedy fans' attention to this at times overlooked group. Early on, comedians like Carlos Miller, Donnell Rawlings, Brandon T. Jackson saw the vision and helped with the slow but consistent build of the brand. Here's what happened to Comedy Hype and what they're planning next. In 2009 is where the story of Comedy Hype would officially begin. At the age of 21, I, like most people around that age, had visions of myself way beyond the floor I was sleeping on at the time while staying with my best friend in Atlanta. His name was Curtis, and he was the bigger brother I didn't have. Like most guys our age then, WorldStar was the supreme website for content, and the owner Q quickly inspired me that maybe I too can have a platform of my own. There was an article I read on how Q started at home with his mother and how he ended up living in a mansion in Los Angeles. Coming from a single parent household and my mother investing what she could in me, instantly I could relate to his story, so my mind started to wonder. Where I would end up was an idea to create an online hub of funny videos that black people would find funny and help showcase black comedians like my favorite at the time, Earthquake. Because let's be honest, our sense of humor has a different feel to it, and I would name it the Laughing Barrel. The name was a perfect fit, as it played into the historic laughing barrels that were on the plantation fields during slavery, meant for slaves to hide their laughter from their masters. The Laughing Barrel represented as our place to get away and using comedy to help get us through unjust moments in America. Now, thanks to Curtis for teaching me early on how to code on website platform WordPress, I designed and created the Laughing Barrel site and started promoting it. My built-in desire to go bigger easily settled in and had me continuously tinker with the concept. How can this be improved? What am I missing? I asked myself this, and still to this day. At one point, I started thinking about the importance of creating content versus just resharing other people's videos, and got a hold of my first camera. That would start the company's position of hearing directly from comedians about their work, writing process, and any rumor they wanted to clear. It wasn't until a conversation I had with then upcoming comedian Little Rel that really expanded the vision of what I was doing. You see, me and Rel would have these off-record conversations and started creating our own interview moments between him and the platform, set up for him to be the one to watch. One day while having one of our many conversations, I think Rel took notice how we started incorporating comedy-related articles within the platform, and he would tell me, "Hey man, y'all like the Black Comedy Central." At the time, I never thought to necessarily compete with Comedy Central, but more so create a space for my people to enjoy. But as soon as Rel said it, it made sense, and any walls to think small blew off, and I saw my mission. For nearly several years, I began moving as such. It started to spotlight those overlooked and those who were finding opportunity in Hollywood. Me and my homeboy Bernard, whom I would meet after a comedy show, would begin to dive in this new territory of building a media platform with zero connects in the industry. We would eagerly get up every day and begin operating our office from his and his girlfriend's, now wife's, living room couch, plotting on how we will build the next Complex magazine. Bernard was what was needed at that moment. I found someone who believed in what I was doing, and they didn't try to minimize the vision. And like most friends, still found time to crack a few jokes.
Bosses wear horses, man. It's my man right here. I'm proud of you, man. Tell me how that Comedy Hype going, man. Tell me, my man got the new whip and shit, you know what I'm saying? Yellow Ferrari, baby, you know. That wire hit? Always. Comedy Hype, man.
Unfortunately, the reality was we weren't making any money consistently, no wires were hitting, and Bernard would have to step back to provide for his family. And this moment would challenge how much I believed in what I was doing. With Nipsey Hussle pulsing through my laptop speakers, I kept going and squeezed in a few warehouse jobs to keep my grandmother off my back. At a certain point, I would take a leap and invest in a WeWork membership, to give me a place to conduct interviews at instead of running up on comedians at comedy clubs or meeting them at random places. This was a big deal for me at the time because I had moved in with my grandmother after running out of my savings, and then the $250 a month investment for an entry-level WeWork membership was the company's first overhead I had to now consider. The investment would pay off because of the new pressure I put myself under, which made me reflect on doing things that made business sense. At one point, due to a person not of our culture and a prominent comedian, I realized that Laughing Barrel may not be the name that was selling my vision. So then Comedy Hype came. It was short and precise on what we were offering. As our viewership on YouTube increased and revenue became more consistent, I realized that, John, it's time to take another leap. Filming at WeWork was great, but with music playing in the background and not having complete control of the atmosphere, it was time Comedy Hype had a place of its own. So I started looking for my first studio.
So this morning, we had a comedian flake out us at the last minute. That's cool, that happens. I wish he would have went at it differently. It kind of ties into just that importance of respect. So right now I got to figure out just getting a replacement. But that's part of the grind. We do not stop. We constantly adjust.
I would come across a space that would fit my budget and a landlord named Scott who would give me a shot. The room was 200 square feet, just enough for me to fit a few chairs in there and conduct interviews. But for me, it was my MGM studios. I not only would do interviews, but would even host filmed events with no more than 9 people total at a time. This is when I would meet my first official videographer, Ty. She was just as driven as me, and like Bernard, she believed and ultimately offered a lot of her time without charging. Then things reached a new level in the summer of 2019, when legendary comedian and queen of comedy Monique stopped by the platform to share her story of Hollywood blackballing, all from that small room with her husband Sidney Hicks by her side. Monique's story would touch millions of individuals who related to her journey. As a result, more eyes were on the platform than ever before. Monique's interview will put a spotlight on Comedy Hype, which began a period of rapid growth.
Now let's talk about Monique. She did an interview with Comedy Hype. Of course, Sydney was there, aka Daddy.
Her feud with Oprah Winfrey, and she's not holding back. During a Comedy Hype talk, she explained that her brother...
surpassing 100,000 subscribers, then 500,000 subscribers. The growing subscriber base allowed the platform to debut the Comedy Hype news show, covering all things comedy and black culture. And we started to quickly hire undiscovered black talents like writer Dom Smith, Symphony Thompson, Zell Gaiman, Trent Denson, Ramil, Matt, Jada Fuller, Terrence, Leslie Theodore, so many on-camera personalities like Danielle Miller in the Bahamas, Joya, Marcus Board.
Hey, what up, y'all? This your boy K-Rob for Comedy Hype, and you watching Comedy Hype News.
That one was good. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, that's all.
That was good.
That was it.
And upcoming production pros and even veterans like comedians Pierre, Yamanika Saunders, and Capone, as well as over 50 people along the way who got to put Team Hype next to their name. We will continue the momentum with several video series that will give flowers to black legends for their contributions in Hollywood. Historic black figures like the original creator of Good Times, Eric Monty, Stepin Fetchit, Charlie Barnett, and Sandman from the Apollo Theater, who have historically gone uncelebrated. Behind-the-scenes stories from beloved shows like In Living Color, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Martin, and The Cosby Show were told. This information wasn't covered by anyone else at the time and got us a lot of love, but also ruffled a few feathers as we simply wanted to innovate a space that so many people may not have taken seriously. The tension and so-called beefs were understood, however. We were young, black, and didn't ask permission to build what we did, which in return may have gotten a few people uncomfortable by not kissing their rings. We grew more focused on what the people wanted and needed more than whose ego needed to be stroked. Luckily, I would also accumulate people who would balance out the opposition with love. From my business partner Jerron, an urban genius, the late great Joel DeFrance, Rex Garvin, Nika Simone, Slauson Girl, Pepper Brooks, my boy Dino, the two Justins, Isis, Kenny Thompson of Kenny T's, Dumella, My Lady, My Sons, all the comedians we crossed paths with in Atlanta like Marcus Harvey, Rodney Perry, Dexter Ferguson, Wellington Ojukwu, Fredo Davis, and just about anyone who knew we were building this ourselves without investors or any loans. Thank you. I wanted to make sure our people knew that they could do something like this, and that there was no excuse but solutions. They didn't need permission, nor should they wait around for someone to finally see your worth. Our mentality was to lead by example when they talk about black people working together.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
From the top to the bottom, it was us who built this, and it has carried us on to acquire the rest of the building we were in, which now functions as the Hyper Clubhouse in Atlanta, or known as Hyper's Club, a WeWork type space designed for creators and entrepreneurs. So why the change? After seeing the appreciative responses from some of our viewers who had never heard the black stories we've told, we realized a good portion of our audience were robbed of valuable and empowering knowledge growing up in school. With the threat of black history being slowly hidden and critical race theory being removed, it's become even more important to preserve our own stories, especially ones that reach beyond comedy.
When the documentary come out, this is shit that you gonna want. How you feel about it?
You got the footage.
How you
got the footage. Remember you? I put it on Clark in the Mitsubishi.
Yeah, I got all that.
You filmed it.
Yeah, I still got that. That's what I'm saying. That was like how many years ago? Like 6-7 years ago. That's what I'm saying.
No, I mean, this is playing out that way. I mean, you know, I think as you ascend, you start kind of knowing exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I think that's what's kind of been happening.
The vision I had at 21 has grown when I reflect on it. I advise anyone faced with obstacles to view rejection as protection. Those doors you don't fit through were probably not leading you to the destination meant for you. Now, with the newfound purpose in delivering quality and reliable information that stretches across multiple genres, including comedy, music, politics, sports, and more, Comedy Hype is officially transitioning to Hype Plus in order to encompass all genres and topics we as a people are interested in. As much as we all love to laugh, this new journey allows Hype Plus to no longer be boxed in when it comes to storytelling, but instead offers limitless possibilities when it comes to helping your people elevate. Hype Plus is designed to fulfill the same purpose as Comedy Hype and so much more. Now, Comedy Hype isn't going anywhere, and as you just learned, this is just another step in the story.